No.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of what we're probably going to be calling Zero Interest.
Yeah, he came up with that title.
Yeah, dude. A little proud of it,
Yeah.
not gonna lie. So, what this show is basically there is a show that I enjoy a great deal. Hi, Casey, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing? Um,
Zero.
hence the name. Uh, there's a show I greatly enjoy. It's called RWBY. You might have heard of it. It's a Rooster Teeth production. Pretty popular right now. Um,
He's a big Rooster Teeth guy.
I'm wearing a fucking it's a RWBY shirt right now.
Yeah.
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 Would be way easier to just tilt the camera down. There it is. Hey, it's a Yang shirt. Anyway, I'm a big fan. Zero watched, I think you said 4 episodes
I watched the first 3.
before this. You watched the first.
Yeah. I just watched the first 3 right
that all?
now. Well, before I did the rewatch for just now, I watched like 4 or 5. I got to the part where they were going to like start this test or something,
Yeah.
and then they started it, and then I was like, fell off it. Had things to do.
Yeah. So basically, he watched to the point where it hadn't even tried to get good yet, which I think is about episode 7.
Yeah, I didn't make it that far.
Yeah. So basically, the idea was we do a video vlog style series where
Yeah.
we go through episode by episode, or if it's like a paired episode, like episodes 2 and 3 are, we'll just combine them into one because they do that a lot in the first season. And we'll do thoughts about what the episodes were like and how what we thought of them and things. So the basic concept behind the show. So let's start with obviously the first episode. We're not going to bother with the prequel trailers or anything like that because
No. I do remember watching all of those though before the show came out. I was like, this action looks pretty good. I kind of want to see where this goes, and then I fell off the show once it started. So
yeah, fair play. That's surprisingly enough, that's not an uncommon reaction to watching the first season. The first season has problems. We'll get to that. So first episode was called Ruby Rose, title character. So it goes. So Zero, since you
yeah,
have literally just watched it, and I actually haven't watched it in a while, except to get details for writing and things like that. We'll start with your thoughts and give us a bit of a quick synopsis on what you thought going through it.
so basically it starts with the store's going to get robbed by these goons.
Do you have any idea how hard it is to find a dust shop open this late?
Please, just take my lien and leave.
Shh. Calm down. We're not here for your money. Grab the dust.
Robbing the dust store. That there was a whole monologue about dust beforehand, and it's what they used to fight the monsters.
An inevitable darkness, creatures of destruction, the creatures of Grimm, set their sights on man and all of his creations. However, even the smallest spark of hope is enough to ignite change. And in time, man's passion, resourcefulness, and ingenuity led them to the tools that would help even the odds. This power was appropriately named Dust.
It's the magical power that they have, because every series has some sort of power.
It is one of the magical powers that they have.
Well, not every. Yeah. And so they go and they rob this store, and then Ruby is in the corner listening to some surprisingly good music. And, well, not surprisingly, I've heard that music before, but still good music. And then they're like, oh, hey, kid, we're trying to rob you. Take off your headphones.
Are you robbing me?
Yes.
Oh.
Hey.
Then she kicks their butts and they get away, and she chases after them. Then the hunter lady shows up, and then, they still get away. But then there's this woman in the red, and she's shooting fire and everything, and she's like... So the bad guys basically escape. And then she gets taken to this interrogation-style room. And the hunter lady is there, and she's essentially like, hey, why'd you do that? That was dumb. You're dumb.
I hope you realize that your actions tonight will not be taken lightly, young lady. You put yourself and others in great danger. They started it! If it were up to me, you'd be sent home with a pat on the back and a slap on the wrist.
And then they give her cookies, which she proceeds to eat by putting them into her mouth and having them vanish at the last second through some sort of sorcery. And then they're like, hey, you want to come here to my school? And she's like, yeah!
You want to come to my school?
More than anything.
Well, okay.
And then that's how it ends.
Not quite. There's a bit after that as well in the airship with the sister.
Well, yeah, there's the sister.
Oh, I can't believe my baby sister's going to Beacon with me. This is the best day ever. Please stop.
Essentially, yeah, they mean it's like, oh, you're going to Signal Academy. Or not Signal, but whatever it's called. Beacon, yes. Signal. She went from Signal to Beacon. They're just basically words for big lights that illuminate ways and paths and whatnot.
Yeah.
And
there's a bit of a theme going on with how the Huntsman and Huntress Academies are named based around like symbols of protection. So Vale, the country they're in, has Signal and Beacon. There's another one called Haven. There's one called Shade that's in a desert. And the last one doesn't actually fit the theme now I think about it, but yeah, that's basically the idea that they're going for with a naming convention.
yeah, and so you briefly meet Jean, however you want to say it, as the guy who throws up in the airship.
Well, I guess the view isn't for everyone. It was a nice moment while it lasted.
Yeah. So,
and you can tell he's important because he's the only character that's actually colored other than the main characters we've met so far.
yeah.
Because they're all just silhouettes. So that's a... Like, I understand why you would do silhouettes, because on the one hand, it makes it easier for frame rate and stuff like that. And on the other hand, it also is a stylistic choice where you get to highlight which characters are important easily, but at the same time, it does feel kind of lazy.
Kind of. As much as anything, it was because for the first season, Rooster Teeth at the time hadn't done much animation. The amount of animation they actually did was for... I think at the time they just finished season 10 of Red vs. Blue, which was like half of the story in Red vs. Blue was being animated by Monty Ohm, the creator of RWBY. So they'd put out about an hour or so of full CGI animation, like that they'd done themselves, that wasn't in engine or anything like that.
Yeah.
So doing a full show entirely in animation was a bit of a leap on top of everything else that they would be doing in like machinimation with Red vs. Blue that was still going on. And they hadn't really got the budget for a full animated show. Like, this was, as much as anything else, it was kind of a test to see whether they had the audience for this sort of show. So there were naturally some cut corners when it came to animation, so they could save on the budget, so they didn't have to animate quite as much. So you have the silhouette characters that actually will be, as often as not, just other characters that they use in the show, and they're just silhouetted so they don't have to create entirely new models and rigs and everything. Yeah,
I did notice that there are, like, outside of that one combat scene we get in the first episode, some of the animations come off as just kind of not really natural, or just, yeah, I can see your expression on that. Like when the headmaster goes to lift his cup and he's like,
I was complete garbage before you took me under.
you know, like,
Yeah, that's a similar but slightly different thing. The creator, Montiome, is most comfortable animating with a program called Poser. It's kind of cheap, not the best animation program, but it was what was available to him at the time when he was doing like personal animations. He did Dead Fantasy, I think was the name of his YouTube series thing, because it was kind of a hit.
mm-hmm.
So he did that in Poser, and he got really, really comfortable with it to the point where he didn't really want to use anything else. So in aid of that, Rooster Teeth got, as far as I'm aware, they got a sponsorship from Poser. There's an ad at the end of just about every episode in the first season saying, hey, this was animated in Poser, and things like that. So that they could use that program cheaply, get it all done cheaply, and probably got a monetary compensation out of that. And it's... for fight scenes, it works pretty well.
Oh yeah, definitely. It works well for fight scenes. It's just everything outside of it comes off as...
natural human movements do not work as well in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, fully natural movement is not something that program works well with. I think recently, as in like with season 2, I'm not sure whether they're still using Poser, but the animations for that sort of stuff got a lot better, and it's only improved since. So that's early installment weirdness kind of thing going on.
As far as voice acting is concerned, RWBY is fine, perfectly fine. I like the voice. The voice actor does a good job conveying her emotions.
Can I have your autograph?
The goons that talk in the beginning that aren't the guy's named Roman, you said earlier?
Yep.
Yeah. Everyone that's not him, that's his goon that talks,
All right, kid. Put your hands where I can see them.
it's just not good.
In fairness, there's only one. But
I know. There's one, and he talks, and he's like,
are you
I said
robbing
put
me?
the money in the
Yes.
bag. Yeah, like you're using your inside voice because you don't want to, freak out your mom. That's what it felt like.
Okay.
It felt very canned.
Yeah, that's got better as well, but that's, big culture in Rooster Teeth of just having people that are available do the voices. So
Yeah,
that's
I
what
can
they
tell.
do a lot of the time. I mean, they do get people that are actual voice actors for a lot of the major roles.
Yeah, like Yang is fine, Ruby's fine,
Yang is
Headmaster.
actually entirely, this was her first role in voice acting at all.
But I'm so proud of you.
So Yang
Wow.
is actually surprisingly good. I was not expecting her to be anywhere near that ability. It's not amazing at the time, but it's definitely not bad.
The lady hunter they meet, she's on and off.
If it were up to me, you'd be sent home with a pat on the back and a slap on the wrist.
Like, when she first starts speaking, you can feel that it's not really... Like, it sort of comes off kind of like the goon at first, but then she gets more comfortable into the role as she continues towards the end of what she's saying. She sounds perfectly fine. But...
Yeah, bit of a jump in voice roles. I don't know how often she actually does voice work. I know she's been... her name was Kathleen Welch. She was one of the main characters in Red vs. Blue pretty much since it started. So she's got, technically speaking, 10 years of voice acting experience under her belt. I don't know what she's done besides that, but the role was similar but still very different to this one, and it might have been a bit of adjustment in getting this one down, but she manages it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's a role that requires a certain amount of strictness to your voice. and kind of maturity, and that doesn't really come through until later on into what she's saying. But like, because when she first starts, you can tell she's not really there. As far as the writing goes, I didn't feel like that there were some attempts at jokes that didn't really land. Some kind of did. As far as plot goes, I'm interested to see where it goes, I guess.
I mean, joke-wise, there was some referencey stuff in it, like Ruby going, "Oh, that's my uncle," is a reference to, like, one of the founders of the company was like, "I don't understand anime. I think it's, oh, that's my uncle," and that was his entire view of anime, and that was the reference, and it was funny to fans, but it's not funny otherwise.
Yeah.
Roman basically became a fan favorite character based on just one line.
Okay. Get her.
So that one line probably cemented him as a fan favorite character because the read was so good on it.
Yeah. Like, Roman's perfectly fine. I like Roman. It's, you know, and that's basically the episode. It's 12 minutes long. It's relatively short, all things considered.
Yeah, the seasons are generally ranging from an hour and a half to 2.5 hours. So it's about film length in, like, just watching it in one go. They often have theater screenings of it, so people can just watch it in one go. Yeah, so it's very short watches, generally speaking, if you're just going to watch it episode by episode.
Yeah. The second episode, you want to go into that right now, or
We can, but that'll be another episode of the fucking show.
Yeah, because I'm pretty much done. Final thoughts are, I've given most of them, but essentially, I'd say it's, as far as, you know, I would call this an above average, but it's not quite to the level where you'd see the really impressive stuff. Like, in a lot of ways, it's better than some things, but, you know, it still has those kind of, I don't want to call it amateurish, but yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
It's not exactly fully at that level where I'd say it's professional quality work yet, but still above average for the stuff you'd find on the internet.
We'll be getting to more of that as the season goes on and stuff, and we'll get to that when we get to that, but yeah, fair play. So that was the first episode of Zero Interest. I think I'm planning on releasing these on Sunday, so there should be one every Sunday, and we'll do another episode or 2 episodes in the case of 2-parters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks for watching, and we'll be back with another one next week.
Bye.